Hi everyone. So in this video, I am joined by the lovely Emma again, and we are going to be talking about a quote that I saw recently, and I can't for the life of me remember who said it. So if anyone knows, then please just let me know. But the quote is, "Recovery is divorcing the inauthentic self," and it really hit me, and it really just something in that really resonated, which made me scribble it down and want to have a conversation about it, because there's so much in that I see to be true from my own experience of recovery. So just going to spend a short amount of time just kind of having a bit of a chat about that and sharing kind of what we see in that from our personal experiences of recovery. So Emma, what are your first kind of reactions to that? Because it's quite a punchy quote, isn't it?
It's really strong. I think the two words like divorce and then inauthenticity are really, they make such a huge difference. They're really, really powerful words in terms of the force with divorce, and also for me, the force of like inauthenticity that you can have with yourself. And I think personally, knowing I lived a long time in that inauthentic self, kind of building it, creating it, the feeling of knowing I have managed to separate myself from that. And I sit much closer to an authentic self. That's really, there's a lot of, I think, real kind of breakthrough moments for me were in recognizing a separation and coming back in from an inauthentic place to an authentic place.
Yeah, yeah, and I totally agree. And it's so interesting because like the idea of divorce, like in however we may whatever that might be in relation to, it can feel like such a kind of dramatic or difficult or painful kind of separation. And I just wonder, like, if that actually has to be true all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because like for me, the way I see it in relation to recovery, it's like a returning. So at my core is my authentic self, but throughout, like when I had my eating disorder, like you were saying, we kind of like build this inauthentic version of ourselves, not consciously,
No.
but it's just all of those beliefs about ourselves, about the world, about like all of it, and how we interact with it, how we treat ourselves. That I feel just certainly took me kind of further and further away from who I really am at my core, which is not someone who wants to be hard on myself or treat myself in the way that I did for years, or kind of close myself off to the world. Like that's not who I am at my core. And but I don't think I saw that at the time. So I think for me it's like, even though the word divorce can, like I say, can feel so kind of hard, it's like a hard word, isn't it?
Yeah.
That actually maybe in relation to recovery it can be almost that returning.
And what if divorce is actually, the word separation can be hard. So you're kind of removing oneself from something, or just separating from. But what if it was that coming back to? What if it was that what you'd built, that togetherness, was built on, inauthentic, untrue beliefs? And but belief doesn't matter how strong they are, whether it's not the strength of them which defines their truthfulness. Actually, the strength of those ties and the truthfulness have nothing to do with each other. Because I think we know, as we've come through recovery and for yourself into full recovery, none of those were true.
Like, how do we tell the difference between the two? Because like when we're in the eating disorder, those beliefs, they seem true, right?
Yeah, so true.
And it's like, how do we, and like I have some thoughts on this, but like how for you, like how do you kind of tell the difference between that, between all those truthful looking beliefs that are actually more aligned, much more aligned with our inauthentic self, and the kind of the pure truth that lies with that authentic self?
I think the authentic self is kind of like, visually in my mind at least, it's always simpler. It doesn't mean it's easier, but it always has this air of simplicity and kind of, I don't really know, kind of, yes, yeah, simpleness, yes. And it's independent, it kind of just is. Whereas other beliefs, they seem to be a lot more characterful. They seem to have a lot more about them. They mean more things. There's more noise about them. There's more consequences. There's so much more going on here to those beliefs. And actually, I don't know whether maybe you can think of an example where this maybe isn't true necessarily, but a belief is a belief because there isn't much like heart. It's like one person can believe one thing and another can believe something else. The truth of it doesn't lie in the two different beliefs, does it? It maybe is somewhere completely different. There's less content, less kind of nitty-gritty to the belief. No, there's more nitty-gritty, more kind of content in a belief because so much rides on it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's busy.
It's so busy.
It's busy, it feels urgent, it feels like so much is riding on it. It's like,
important.
Yeah, the importance of it, even the volume of it, as in like dialing up the volume. It's just loud. And
that's where our attention goes, right? Because we are drawn to loud things. We're drawn to where there's stuff going on.
Emotion.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I think also like what goes along with that are all those feelings that all that commotion creates. So it is that feeling of almost feeling pressurized. It's like, for me anyway, and it's that sense of urgency, the anxiety, the I must do this, or if I don't do this, this will happen, or it's all that kind of conditionality.
And all of this is happening to us, isn't it? Kind of to our authentic self. So all of these things, I kind of see them as, when you were speaking earlier, I kind of saw, I don't know whether it's in one of the previous videos or something, but I think we've spoken before about kind of being inside these walls. So we're in and around us are these walls that just keep getting built and built and built and built. And that's kind of the inauthentic self is being built around to protect our very much authentic self. And I feel as though when there's the busyness, it's like, let's get to action, let's start building, and the tops of that get further and further away. They get, being able to escape gets further away. And it's almost like it moves from being like a place of here, grounded, to a place of, like you said, busyness, whirling up here. And so I definitely, recognize that, I think. And I'm grateful to be in a position now where I can just go to certain beliefs, be like, I challenge them in a kind of playful way, because I don't believe in like hard force necessarily all the time. But I go, okay, well, just this time I'm going to see what happens if I don't believe you. And so I wonder sometimes if that kind of helps. And often that kind of then just drips away a little bit. Taking action. But was there anything for you in particular, do you think, that kind of, when you were thinking about recognizing that?
I think it's for me so much to do with the feelings that they create. It's like I know that I'm being drawn up here into the
Yeah.
kind of the inauthentic chatter
Mhm.
when I start to feel maybe on edge, um, when I start to doubt myself, um, feelings of anxiety, all of that. And there's a lot of like questioning, and but it's not the kind of, oh, I'm interested, kind of that curiosity, the playfulness that you were describing. It's, oh my God, what if this, what if that, what if this? And it's just like that kind of scattergun throwing all these balls up in the air, and it's just like, what the hell's going on? And
Yeah.
it doesn't feel good.
And the qualities of those, like you went from kind of, what is this, to what is this, what is this, what is this, just the
Exactly.
qualities of the feeling within, and also that you express outwardly,
Yeah.
are really stark, really
Yeah.
stark. And I think that is, isn't it, authentic self, inauthentic self.
Mm.
And there is also like a space of kind of just a bit of grace as well with your inauthentic self. You built it. Like, you've spent a long time there and it served a purpose before. But actually being able to recognize it and going, I want to be elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And actually, like, I'm just kind of going back to the original quote that recovery is divorcing the inauthentic self. I wonder if actually what feels more aligned to what we're saying is that actually recovery isn't quite as snappy, but recovery is, it's like recognizing and letting go of the inauthentic self.
Yeah.
And I think that is, it kind of like makes my shoulders drop about 4 inches.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm breathing slower. It's like that's for me feels like so much more aligned to actually what happened.
Yeah.
To be honest, like with my
Mhm.
recovery, it wasn't the kind of the going into battle and tearing myself away from this eating disorder. It was this letting go, of those layers. And I love that you compared it to that kind of fortress that we talked about the other week,
Yeah.
because it's like that. It's like these layers of, it's like we have this authentic self in our core, and then actually the inauthentic self isn't someone else, isn't somewhere kind of completely separate to us. It's just
No.
these layers that we inadvertently kind of take on,
Yeah.
and build up. So actually it's like this letting go rather than kind of tearing apart.
Yeah. And that's the gentle separation, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not, sometimes we might want to run away. Sometimes we might want to be a bit quick about things, and that's also okay. There's no right or wrong way of, well, I say doing, but actually it's almost the opposite, right? It's not doing. Like you say, it's just letting go, allowing. And sorry,
you go.
I say another way of seeing that walls around you is kind of, which I think is really true in nature, is that sense of like the eye of the storm. You're in the eye, and in the eye is peaceful.
Yeah.
And chaos can be happening around you, and you can actively choose to step into that and be taken with it, or you can recognize that there's always a place for you, which is where you're meant to be, which is just in the middle there, the observer of what's going on around, but not needing to participate in that.
Yeah.
Choosing to stay separate from it. And the more we can practice that, and this goes for general life as well, when you come away from, being so consumed and by trying recovery all the time, like waking up, I'm in recovery, doing this every action of your day, because that's how much it consumes. being like, I'm going to choose a recovery option. And that's, to be able to come at it like that is wonderful. And there's a lovely energy, I think, that can be about that, which is an authentic one, which wants something greater, something freer for yourself. But there's always that piece. And that's, you know, when you said that, that was the dropping of the shoulders.
Yeah, totally.
That was the huge intake of breath.
Yeah.
The ease, the simplicity we spoke about at the beginning of this chat.
Yeah. And I think as part of that, it's like recognizing it and almost thanking it for the purpose that it has tried to serve. And that might seem totally like a totally mad thing to say, and I, until probably fairly recently, I would have said the same, but it's like, on some level, the eating disorder is serving a purpose. It's like it's trying to help us, it's trying to keep us safe, but it's just not going about it in the right way. It's like it's our mind's way of trying to maybe protect us from feeling uncomfortable feelings, which are actually totally safe and normal to feel, or to distract ourselves from I don't know, experiences where we feel maybe out of control, which is another thing that is okay to feel. So it's like recognizing the role that it has tried to play, and also recognizing that actually we don't need it to play that role anymore, because it is safe to feel our feelings. It is safe to allow ourselves to be totally human without needing to turn to this coping strategy to kind of fix. And then I think once we can do that, and I say we, I can only speak from my perspective, but it's like once I recognized all of that, it was like, okay, like it's actually okay to let this go now. And
you fall
so
into
much
trusting.
Easier. Trusting. So much more trusting,
because you have to meet yourself there, don't you? To be able to let yourself trust. We've put so much trust in this thing to keep us safe, you know, in these beliefs that they're the right way, and that they will help us and things like that, like we do with you all the time. Is that, what if, is that keeping me safe? You know, where else could I put my energy?
And I think ultimately it just, for me, it just always comes back to knowing that I'm safe to feel everything I need to feel, whatever that is.
Because you can do hard things.
We can do hard things. Yes, exactly.
We survive them. We show ourselves that we're capable.
Because we're human, and that's a human thing. It's all part of being human. We fight it so much. So it's like relaxing into that.
Resting, letting go.
That feels like a nice place to stop. So thank you everyone for watching. If you have found this interesting, food for thought, then feel free to leave any comments below, or get in touch if you also have any kind of topics or questions that you want us to cover, and we'd be more than happy to do so. Thank you, Emma, as always.
Thank you.
And we will see you all next time.